Roosevelt High buzzed like a beehive at lunchtime. Lockers slammed. Laughter echoed. Sneakers squeaked across the hallway tiles as hundreds of students swarmed between classes. White kids mostly. Loud, confident, careless. Then came the voice that sliced through the noise like a blade. "Yo, Serena, lose your racket again." Heads turned. Phones came out. Dylan Martinez, white, cocky, and captain of the football team, was grinning like a game show host. His arm shot out, shoving a girl backward into the lockers with a metallic thud. Maya Johnson didn't stumble. She just stood there, 17, dark-skinned, in a simple clean jacket and jeans. The hallway got even louder. The laughter hit like slaps. She even got the hair. "Come on, Serena, give us a serve," someone shouted from the crowd. More laughter. More phones. But Maya didn't move. One student standing off to the side, a quiet Asian girl with glasses, didn't laugh. She noticed something no one else did. Maya was breathing slowly, counting. 1, 2, 3. Her hands stayed at her sides. Not clenched. Not flinching. Just still. "Cat got your tongue?" Dylan smirked, stepping closer. "Or do you only speak whatever they taught in the ghetto?" More snickers. A wave of heads turned to catch the moment on camera. They wanted a breakdown. Tears. Rage. Something to confirm their power. Instead, Maya looked up. Slowly. Her eyes met Dylan's, not angry, not scared. Just still. Deep. Like water that ran far, far beneath the surface. "Were you done?" she asked, voice soft but clear. A silence dropped across the hallway like a curtain. Even the laughter stopped. Dylan blinked, confused. Something about the way she said it didn't match the script he was used to. Without waiting for a reply, Maya turned, adjusted the strap of her backpack, and walked down the hall. Smooth, quiet, unbothered. But her eyes had already scanned every phone, every face, every insult, every name, memorized. "Hi, my name is Malik. If you believe stories like this need to be heard, please hit like and subscribe right now. Your support helps us shine a light on real injustice." The lunch bell hadn't even finished ringing when Maya reached the end of the hallway and pushed open the double doors leading outside. Cold air hit her face, but she welcomed it. It was better than the fake heat inside, all those bodies packed in, all that noise. She found a bench beneath a tree, alone, away from the chaos. Her fingers slipped into her backpack and pulled out a small red notebook. No name, no decoration, just worn leather with pages that had seen too much. She flipped to a blank one and quietly wrote, "Day 1 verbal assault, physical contact, crowd present, recorded, names logged, witnesses, 50 plus, emotion, controlled." Her handwriting was perfect, sharp, straight, no shakiness. The same way her coach had taught her to punch, exact and intentional. 3 months ago, she was training 6 days a week in a gym that didn't even have windows. Coach Rodriguez never coddled her. "Control is power," he always said. "You lose your temper, you lose the fight." She remembered how he showed up at her father's funeral. A tall, silent black man with heavy hands and kind eyes. Her dad had died of lung cancer, leaving behind a grieving wife and a daughter who hadn't cried. Not in front of anyone. Coach had leaned over and whispered to her mother, "She's holding too much. Either you help her channel it, or it will burn her." That's how boxing started. Quiet, hidden, underground. No trophies, no spotlight. Just sweat and control and silence. Roosevelt High was supposed to be a fresh start. Her mom had landed a better job out here in the suburbs. Better schools. Safer streets. At least that's what the brochures promised. But racism doesn't need danger to grow. It needs comfort. And these kids were comfortable. She saw it the moment she walked in. White faces staring at her like she didn't belong. Teachers hesitating. Students whispering. She had expected it, but not this fast. Not this loud. And yet, she wasn't surprised. She tucked the notebook back into her bag and stood. Time for class. Inside, the school felt colder now. The stares weren't just curious anymore. They were calculating. Madison, the tall blonde who'd been filming earlier, walked past her slowly. "Careful," Madison whispered, just loud enough for Maya to hear. "You don't want to come off aggressive." Maya didn't look at her, just walked. That word, aggressive, always followed girls like her. The moment she stood up, they'd use it. The moment she spoke with confidence, they'd twist it. She took her seat in chemistry. The teacher barely acknowledged her. Dylan sat 2 rows behind. His friend Kevin threw a crumpled paper ball that bounced off Maya's backpack. She didn't flinch. She didn't turn. Instead, she pulled out her notebook and wrote again. Target escalation noted. Psychological tactics. Response, neutral. Jessica, the quiet girl with glasses, glanced over and caught a glimpse of the notebook. That was the moment she realized. Maya wasn't scared. She was documenting. The next day, Maya opened her locker to find it drenched in red spray paint. 3 words, large and dripping. "Go back home." The letters were still wet. Students walked by, laughing quietly, taking pictures. A few covered their mouths in fake shock. No one helped. No one said a word. Dylan leaned casually against the locker across from hers, arms folded like he was admiring art. "Wow," he said mockingly. "That's just tragic. Who would do such a thing?" His friends laughed behind him, pretending to guess. Maya ran her fingers through the fresh paint. It stained her fingertips. Thick, cold. But her face didn't change. She took out her notebook, opened to a fresh page, and wrote silently. Day 2 hate message. Red paint. Crowd present. Paint still wet. Names identified. Witness, Martinez. No assistance from faculty. Emotion, stable. She tore out a tissue and wiped her fingers, then shut the locker without a word. Across the hallway, Jessica watched. Something about the way Maya moved felt off. Not shaken. Not broken. It was like she was waiting for something. In the cafeteria, Maya sat alone again. Tray untouched. Ice steady. Dylan and Kevin sat 2 tables away, laughing louder than they needed to. "Maybe if we get her a green card, she'll feel more at home," Kevin said. "I dunno," Dylan smirked. "She's got that quiet danger vibe, like she's gonna pull some Wakanda Forever move on us." Students nearby laughed nervously. Some looked at Maya to see if she'd react. She didn't. Instead, she turned a page in her chemistry book. Calmly, Jessica stood, hesitated, then sat across from her. "You know," she said gently, "that move you made yesterday, when Dylan shoved you, that wasn't basic self-defense." Maya looked up, and Jessica hesitated. "My dad used to box, before he moved from Korea. He always told me you can tell a fighter by the way they don't react." "You didn't flinch." Maya closed her book. Her voice stayed calm. "Basic doesn't keep people like me safe." Jessica nodded slowly, then lowered her voice. "He's not gonna stop, Dylan. When he picks someone, he goes all the way, until something breaks. Maya replied, I don't break, then looked away. Later that afternoon, Maya walked through the gym hallway where old trophies lined the glass case. Her reflection passed over faded photos of white athletes, row after row, year after year. She paused, adjusted her backpack, then kept walking. Behind her, Dylan and Madison exchanged glances. Madison whispered, She's weird. It's like, she's not reacting. Why isn't she crying? Dylan frowned. I don't know. But he was starting to feel something he didn't like. Uncertainty. Because deep down, he was beginning to suspect something about Maya Johnson. She wasn't normal. And none of this was new to her. If you're still watching, drop a comment below. What would you do in this situation? And don't forget to subscribe for more real stories that matter. Chemistry class was quiet except for the scratch of pencils and the occasional tap of fingers on desks. Maya sat near the window, her head down, focused on the worksheet in front of her. Dylan leaned back in his chair 2 rows over, clearly bored. The teacher asked a question about molecular bonds. No one raised their hand, except Maya. She answered clearly, accurately. The teacher blinked, then nodded. That's correct. Dylan snorted. Someone's been watching YouTube again. The class chuckled. Maya didn't even look at him, but her voice cut through the room like a thread pulled tight. No, I just studied. Then back to her paper like he wasn't even worth a full sentence. That small moment rippled through the classroom. Dylan blinked, off balance. Again, the same feeling he had in the hallway, like somehow he'd lost control of the script. At lunch, he made his move louder. Standing near her table with Kevin, he shouted, Hey, Harvard, tell us again how atoms work. Kevin fake clapped. Give it up for the ghetto genius. The lunchroom laughed. Maya calmly folded her napkin and placed it on her tray. She didn't raise her voice. Dylan, she said without turning, have you ever wondered why you only feel powerful with an audience? That one sentence landed like a punch. Kevin paused mid-laugh. Even the nearby table stopped eating. Dylan's face tightened. Watch your mouth. Maya finally looked up directly at him. No need. I know exactly what I'm saying. There was a coldness in her eyes now. Not angry, just precise, like a blade. He stepped forward, trying to tower over her. But Maya stood, and for the first time, students noticed the way she moved, not defensive, not nervous. Balanced, measured, like every step had purpose. Her shoulders were relaxed, but her posture said control. Jessica watched from across the room, eyes wide. After school, in the girls' locker room, Maya changed quickly. The school uniform sleeves revealed her arms. Not bulky, but defined. Years of training carved into her muscles. Nothing flashy, just built for function. 2 girls stared, whispering. One murmured, She's got fighter arms? In gym class, the volleyball flew across the net. Fast. Maya didn't flinch. She moved like she'd seen it before. Her hands didn't just block the shot. She redirected it perfectly, like she chose where it landed. The coach raised an eyebrow. Other students looked at each other. It wasn't luck. It was skill. After class, Dylan caught up with her near the locker hallway. You're not who you pretend to be, he muttered. Maya looked over her shoulder. No one is. He narrowed his eyes. You've done this before. What kind of life teaches you that? Maya paused, turned fully to face him. The kind where you learn fast. There are 2 kinds of people. The ones who hurt and the ones who make sure they never get hurt again. Then she walked away, leaving him standing there, suddenly unsure if he'd picked the right target. That night, Maya sat on the floor of her bedroom, her red notebook open beside her and her laptop glowing softly in the dark. She clicked through screenshots, cruel memes, video clips, racist comments, graffiti photos. Every name, every timestamp, every face was cataloged. Day 3, evidence archived. Emotional impact, 0. Focus, execution. She opened a private web page she'd been building. Title at the top, Voices of Roosevelt High. Below it, folders labeled Dylan Martinez, Madison Pierce, Kevin Walsh. Each folder was filled with testimonies. She had contacted students who'd been targeted before, quietly, carefully. Victims who had vanished, transferred, or been silenced. And they responded. Some sent old screenshots, some video clips, but one stood out, a video from Thomas Miller, the same student who had attempted suicide last year. His voice was soft, recorded from his dorm room. If Maya's being targeted, she's not alone. I wasn't the first, and I wouldn't have been the last. Dylan made sure of that. She downloaded the video and filed it under Phase 2. Then she printed small flyers with a QR code leading to the site. Just a black and white sheet. Plain. Anonymous. Effective. She packed them in her backpack. The next morning, by 7:30 a.m., posters appeared across the school. Justice for Thomas Miller. What you never saw at Roosevelt High. Scan to know the truth. The QR code led straight to Maya's website, exposing 3 years of bullying, racism, and harassment. Testimonies, evidence, screenshots, videos. By second period, students were whispering. By lunch, they were staring. In the cafeteria, Madison rushed to Dylan's table. "It's everywhere," she whispered, eyes wide. "Reddit, Twitter, TikTok. My dad just called me. He saw it." Dylan's face drained of color. Kevin leaned in, furious. "How the hell did she get that stuff?" Dylan stood up and scanned the room. Maya was at her usual table, silent, eating alone. Jessica sat nearby, not speaking, just watching. Dylan stormed over. "You think you're clever? You think this is gonna scare me?" Maya looked up slowly. Her tone didn't change. "I don't need to scare you. You've already made your choices." He slammed a hand on the table. "You don't get to expose me." She tilted her head slightly. "Then maybe you shouldn't have performed for the camera." All around them, phones were out, students filming again. But this time, not for mockery. For proof. Dylan glanced around, panic rising in his throat. Madison hissed from behind, "We need to shut it down." Maya stood. Her voice stayed even. "It's too late for that. You already posted it. I just organized it." She walked out of the cafeteria, her steps slow, measured. Back in her notebook, she wrote, Day 4, Phase 2, active. Public awareness achieved. Opponent destabilized. And underneath that line, in smaller print, Thomas Miller, weapon loaded. Third period hadn't even started when Principal Washington's voice crackled through the intercom, asking Dylan Martinez to report to the main office. By the time he got there, 2 unfamiliar men in suits were waiting. One had a Department of Education badge clipped to his belt. The other, a stern-looking black man, held a file labeled Student Harassment and Civil Rights Violation, Roosevelt High. "Mr. Martinez," the principal said tightly, "these gentlemen are here regarding serious complaints filed by multiple students, supported by documented evidence. Dylan's face was blank, but his fists clenched. "This is a joke," he said, his voice louder than it needed to be. "Some angry black girls trying to ruin my life." "Enough," the investigator cut in. "We've seen the footage, the threats, the slurs. You're being placed on immediate suspension pending further investigation." Outside the office, students gathered near the hallway, whispering. Screenshots from Maya's site were being passed around like wildfire. Madison stood frozen by her locker, pale and panicked. "My parents saw everything," she whispered to Kevin. "They're threatening to cut me off." Back in the cafeteria, Maya sat at her usual table. Jessica walked in, looked around, then joined her. "It's happening," she said quietly. Maya didn't smile. She just nodded once. "Phase 3, she said almost to herself. Kevin barged into the cafeteria, storming toward her. "You think this is over? You're gonna pay for this." He reached for her phone. In one smooth motion, Maya stepped back and gripped his wrist. Not harshly, not aggressively, but with such precision that his movement froze midair. Her voice didn't rise. "Don't touch what doesn't belong to you." Kevin yanked his arm back, stunned. He stumbled slightly. Around them, phones were already recording again. The coach nearby raised an eyebrow. "Everything all right here?" Maya gave the smallest nod. "Just a misunderstanding." Kevin walked away, red-faced and humiliated. Jessica leaned in, whispering, "Where did you learn to do that?" Maya replied softly, "You train long enough. Instinct replaces fear." By the end of the day, the school's atmosphere had completely changed. Teachers were whispering in corners. Posters had been taken down, but the damage was already done. The website had over 40,000 views in under 12 hours. That evening, Maya received an email. Investigation confirmed. Formal charges pending. Proceed as planned. She opened her notebook and wrote, Day 5, institutional reaction confirmed. Target collapsed. Damage irreversible. Madison tried to message her. "We didn't know it'd go this far. We were just joking." Maya replied once. "You laughed while others broke. That was the choice. This is the result." Back at his house, Dylan stared at his phone. Messages flooded in. College recruiters pulled scholarships. News articles popped up. High school athlete linked to hate speech. And in every headline, one name kept showing up. Maya Johnson. The girl who never raised her voice, but brought down a system louder than anyone ever had. 6 months later, the Roosevelt High Auditorium was packed. Parents filled every seat. Teachers stood in the back. Students whispered as the lights dimmed and the stage lit up. Maya Johnson walked across that stage. Not to fight, not to expose, but to graduate. She wore the gold sash of a valedictorian. Her name had been announced with the loudest applause of the night. Her mother sat in the front row, tears streaming down her face, hands clasped together like a prayer had been answered. The same students who once filmed her humiliation now stood, clapping, some with guilt, some with respect, but all acknowledging the undeniable truth. She changed everything. Jessica Chin sat 2 rows back, now the president of the school's anti-racism and mental health club, a program Maya helped create. Behind her sat Thomas Miller, flown in just for this day. His eyes were glassy. He held his phone up, recording everything. Maya approached the microphone. "For a long time," she began, "silence was survival. But silence should never be mistaken for weakness." The room was still. When I first came to Roosevelt, I was told in words, in laughter, in silence, that I didn't belong. I didn't scream. I didn't fight. I documented. I waited. And then I spoke. She looked out into the crowd. Not for revenge, but for protection. Because no one should have to suffer and think they're alone. Madison sat in the back of the auditorium, away from the crowd. Her once famous Instagram account deleted. Her social circle gone. She watched with quiet shame, her therapist's words echoing in her mind. Some wounds take longer to heal when you were the one causing them. Outside the building, Dylan Martinez stood in his community service uniform, handing out water bottles for the graduation guests. He was no longer enrolled, no longer admired, but for once he wasn't angry. He looked at the giant screen inside through the glass doors as Maya finished her speech. Real strength isn't in how loud you yell, Maya said. It's in how wisely you act when no one's watching, and when everyone is. The auditorium erupted in applause. After the ceremony, reporters asked her how it felt. Maya smiled softly. It's not about how it feels. It's about what it changes. People like me don't get justice by chance. We make it happen. A week later, a documentary titled "The Student Who Documented Everything" trended in the US, UK, and Canada. The final shot showed Maya walking past her old locker. The one that once said, "Go back home." It was clean now, fresh paint. Her photo posted beside it, with a plaque that read, "Courage begins in silence." At home, she closed her red notebook one last time and placed it in a box. Then opened a new one labeled, "Next Chapter." If you believe in second chances and breaking barriers, share this story. To viewers in the USA, UK, and Canada, your voice matters. Together, we can change the world.